Here we go. Yes, yes. Oh, records of it breaking down in London multiple times because a lady called Elizabeth Taylor smashed into the back of me on Valentine's Day. Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm Damo, and on today's pedal art video, we're back with the 1989 Peugeot 205 GTI 1.6. We've owned this car for a year and a half now, and it's mostly been used for shows. But in this video, we're going to go through what that year and a half has been like in a bit more detail. Let's talk about what's gone wrong with it. The biggest thing that's gone wrong with this car is it's broken down a lot. There was a leaky split in one of the coolant hoses, so it started weeing out coolant. That was an easy repair because I could just cut off the bad end and fit it back on. It broke down or refused to start after the Camberley car show last year. It kind of stalled on the way in and wouldn't start again. Stopped on the way back from Brooklands Easter Day 2023 and couldn't get it started again. We were halfway home, had to get recovered back. And then beyond that, I was fiddling with wires and kind of unplugging stuff, putting it back on. It kind of would start, and then it would not even sort of start on, or not even try to start on the first turn of the key, which is a bit odd. Anyway, a bit of researching. There's another video on the channel about it. There's a big connector plug underneath the manifold, and there's like 7 electrical connectors get in there. Anyway, I don't know whether it's heat or just wear and tear. The wiring just looks very tired, but that I believe was the source of the problem, because ever since I've put a new plug on and re-crimped all the wires for that, and I replaced another couple of wires, the wire to the starter motor, and there was another wire at the back. I can't remember where that went, but it looked old and perished. Anyway, that has fixed things. In other things that have gone wrong with this car, not really very many. The wipers are slow. I did another video on that. Speed 1, speed 2. Okay, they're dry, but that's as fast as they go. All the mechanism was seized, and I got a new mechanism which was a lot freer, but they're still really slow. It's not a huge problem because I very rarely take this car out in the rain anyway, although it is a bit showery today. It's forecast, but I plan to do this video, so I'm going to do it. Again, not something that I think specifically had gone wrong, but I wanted this car to feel, I suppose, a little bit more comfortable. I know that sounds silly because it's a 205 GTI, but you can feel, maybe it's coming across on camera, on these roads, British roads, it's a little bit harsh. So I thought maybe the shock absorbers and springs were a bit tired. Got them all replaced last summer at a great garage in Hartley Whitney. If you're a Peugeot fan in the Surrey, Hampshire area, they're really good. And I suspected they also dropped it a little bit as well, because although the stance was okay, it did look a little bit high, a little bit silly. So it now looks a little bit more purposeful, I guess. Anyway, since those shocks and springs have been replaced, it's made no difference really. And I thought there'd be a lot more difference to the handling of it, not just sort of the ride, but in terms of the handling and being able to chuck it around a bit more, but it didn't really make much difference. So it's not something that went wrong, but it's something I tried to improve, but didn't have much of an effect. When I got this car, it had a very small oil leak. I think it had a few oil leaks, and I sort of did a bit of research, and I think there's a few common seals. So when I say seals, you imagine the animal. A few common seals in the engine. I want to say rear main seal, I can't remember specifically. Anyway, I took it to a reputable 205 specialist to get that all sorted, and I spent quite a lot on getting that done, and they replaced a lot of the seals and a lot of the gaskets, which was great, but the oil leak is still there. I had, again, the great guy in Hartley Whitney replace the gasket seal on the sump pan underneath, and he cleaned it all up. Such a good guy. He cleaned all my brakes up as well as when he did the suspension and the arches. Someone had jet washed the arches and taken some of the paint off in the arches, which was ugly. I was going to do it, but anyway, he just did it all. So all the arches look nice, all the brakes look nice, the suspension looks great. I love that sort of stuff. It's really cool. And he thought the oil leak was the sun pan. Anyway, so in all of the time I've had this car, despite 2 trips to a garage, it's not fixed it. So it has a little oil leak, and it may be that I do sort of think maybe the oil's a bit too thin because we're using really good oil. But anyway, that's sort of annoying. I'd like to get that resolved this summer if I can. The rear beam as well, I'm going to get sorted. What niggles does it have? 30-odd-year-old French car, so there are a few niggles. There's no power steering, so it's quite heavy. You sort of expect that though, but it's really at low speeds. This is running the later, they're not later, they're 1.9 15-inch alloy wheels, so they're a little bit bigger on a 1.6 car. There are differences in the dimensions of the front and rear axles. Consequently, on the with the 1.9 wheels fitted to a 1.6, I read it on a post, and they said, oh yeah, when you do that, the front wheels stick out further than the back wheels. And ever since they said that, I've not been able to not notice it, if that makes sense. And I'm like, oh damn, that's so annoying. But anyway, that's a niggle. I guess all of the breakdowns, niggles. Some great history of this car. I think I've said it in previous videos. It was owned by Customs and Excise from new, and then I think a civil servant bought it at auction in the late 90s after it had done its service for the Customs and Excise people. But there's records of it breaking down in London multiple times in the early 90s, multiple times. I just have this image of this car sort of stranded by the side of the road being recovered or being repaired. Had a lot of alarms. We all know that GTIs in the late 80s, early 90s were very sought after, so there was a lot of security that went into this car. 3, I think, alarms have been fitted to this car in various points in its life. I've got that in the paperwork. There are none now, they've all been taken out. You don't really need them. The car's in the garage, it only really goes to shows and a bit of the odd drive to Waitrose. Okay, next up, how could it be improved? Well, this is a 1.6 model. I think the only way of making the 1.6 model better is to do the things that they did in the 1.9 model anyway. Well, not all of 1.9s, but certainly some of them. And that is 3 things. And they're going to sound really pernickety and modern, but they are just like creature comforts that you kind of get used to. 1, electric windows. Don't mind manual windows, but kind of over it from having the Carman gear. It'd just be nice to have electric windows. 2, central locking. Again, getting in and out of the car when you park at the supermarket, checking the boots locked, checking the passenger doors locked. Bit of a fiddle. Central locking would be amazing. Very modern comfort you just get used to. Number 3, power steering. Not for when you're on the go, you can turn it off when you're hooning along, get rid of it. When you're parking and manoeuvring it, and again, the 15-inch wheels make that a bit difficult. I should point out, that's improvements to this specific model. I should point out that the 14-inch pepper pot wheels that were on this car from standard did come with this car when I bought it, and they are right now in the process of getting refurbished. So I intend to put those back on. They're not I could go into the detail on this, and I'm sure if you're a fan of the 205, you'll know that the centre bit of the 14-inch pepper pot is polished, so it's powder coated silver everywhere, and then the middle bit, I don't think it was diamond cut, I think it was like mill polished. Subtle difference in the technique. Anyway, I inquired with a few local alloy wheel refurbishment places to see if they could do that, and none of them could, and I kind of was a bit like, that's a shame. But then another bit of me was like, well, when you do that, a lot of people have got wheels that are in good condition, where when it's like any diamond cut wheel, they do sort of degrade over time, and they get like little spider arms in them and things like that. So I suppose, although it won't be, and this car is a proper kind of rolling restoration, I suppose, it's not a concours completely ground up restored, it's just going and being improved slowly. I'm not massively fussed. The right wheels will be on the car. They're the wheels that would have come. They're the wheels that came with the car when it was new, and they'll be back on it. So there'll be there'll be a set of 15-inch 1.9s, which are refurb with really good tyres on, that will be for sale. And I'm looking forward to getting this car back to looking like a 1.6 should. Let's talk about what we love about it so much, why we like it, why it's still in the garage. In addition to its noise and its handling and its feel, I've been thinking about this a lot, and the one word that keeps coming back is nostalgia. My first car was a Renault 11. It was a French car. I didn't have it for long because a lady called Elizabeth Taylor, not that one, smashed into the back of me on Valentine's Day on the way to my granddad's funeral. Everybody's got many car stories. That's one of the first. Pushed me into somebody else, and damaged the front and the back of my little Renault 11 silver A-Reg 1.4 GTL. 14th of February 1993. Anyway, that got dealt with very well, actually. That's a complete side topic, but that was a French car. Back then, XR2s and 205 GTIs and even the 1.3 Vauxhall Nova SR were very, very coveted by myself and my friends. The friends that I used to hang around with around that time came and visited me recently last year. We went out in this car, and it was like going back in time, which was very cool, very enjoyable. So this car's full of nostalgia. It smells like cars used to smell back in the day, which sounds cheesy, but I think you always sort of, classic car enthusiasts go back to the cars that they coveted in those early halcyon days of when they first learned to drive, and their sort of passion for cars grew. And this car had a Carman gear, which was great, but I didn't live through a Carman gear era. I wasn't alive when it was made in whenever it was, 1966. I liked the style of them and I wanted one, but it didn't really mean much to me. I never had a 205 GTI when I was young, but I certainly wanted one. But I did have a French car, and I had cars of this age, and they were all very, very similar in how they felt, how they smelt, how they drove. You know, that no power steering, the windy windows, which I was moaning about before, but it is all part of it. The smell. There's no fancy pollen filters or cabin filters in here. You get whatever's going on in the engine, you're going to pretty much smell it in the cabin of this car. If there's an oil leak, which there is, you're going to know about it. I like it. Also, nostalgia's main reason for just keeping this car and wanting to carry on owning it. It sounds great, and you can have fun in it at low speed. You can blast away from the traffic lights and get up to like 20 miles an hour. It sounds amazing. And I'm literally, this is what happens. You get up to like 20 miles an hour and you need to slam it into another gear. You're like, wow! And you look down at the speedo and you're hardly going anywhere, and the cars that are next to you, the washing machines that are super, super quick and electric and quiet and comfortable, all of those things are probably a lot quicker and going past you, but they're no way having anywhere near as much fun as you are. This is like using a mangle to dry your clothes compared to like a high-tech tumble dryer. It's hardcore. To the point where it's hard to believe that, here we go, yes, putting the revs down, another roundabout, drop down second, hold it, revs on, whoa, so much fun. Yeah, to the point where you can't quite believe people drove these cars every day. This was your daily car. This is what you went to work in. If you had one of these, you were super fortunate. You drove it every day. People put up with it because they didn't know anything else. I love that. It's snappy on the throttle as well. You've got to be very, very... It's a bitch in traffic. 205 GTI is renowned for it. But back then, to help make them feel sporty, let drivers know they were in a GTI, you had this very sharp bite on the throttle. You had to give it some revs. And it does that now. Like, you can be in traffic and people think, oh, what a boy racer, he's revving his engine. You're not. You're just setting off. You're just driving away. It's normal. But it makes it feel fast. You've got to get it right. You've got to kind of give it some revs, give it some beans. It wants to go. Peugeot did a great job engineering this car. Oh. Alright, thanks for watching this pedal art video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget, if you haven't done, subscribe to the channel. Write in the comments, tell us what you think. We'll see you again very soon. Thanks for watching. Cheers.